Yesterday we finished Taylor's theorem and some examples, and today we begin with Lorentz theorem, and these are almost same. The idea is same in the proof, but statement is slightly different. In Taylor's theorem, we talked about a disk. Inside, inside a disk, one analytic function will have Taylor series expansion. But here, F is analytic in an annulus, or it is called a ring domain, ring-shaped domain. Then what happened? Ring-shaped domain. Then within that, function is analytic given, and then within that, F will have some series expansion. That series expansion is called actually Lorentz series. It is done by Lorentz, so therefore it is named as Lorentz series of this form. This will have negative powers of Z minus A. If there are no negative powers, then it is actually Taylor's series. So that means Taylor series is a particular case of Lorentz series, and we can see, we will be, investigating this through various examples when we compute Lorentz series expansion in different regions, whenever it is possible. Of course, about the center point here, A. So the AK has the similar formula here, but here gamma, this formula is coming from Cauchy's integral formula. But here, what happens? This AK cannot or need not be expressed in terms of derivative of F, because function may not be analytic in the whole region. Only in the ring shape it is analytic, not inside. At the point A, function is not analytic. So that is the reason we cannot express this. We may not be able to express always AK in terms of derivative of F. So therefore, straightforward, AK has this integral formula, we can say. Sorry. All this calculation will come. Then gamma, what is gamma here? Gamma is actually any simple closed contour lying inside the annulus, but it will cover the whole ring. And this is that simple closed contour will make a complete counterclockwise revolution about the center point A. That is the way. Not like we take any simple closed contour in the annulus. No, it should be surrounding the point A. That way we take. So this is the statement. Just extension of Taylor's theorem, we can say. Proof is similar. So please.
Sir, please repeat why we don't express AK in the derivative of F. In terms of the derivative of.
Because F is not differentiable at the point A. Okay, because F is analytic only in the ring, not at A. That is the reason. All right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Proof is here. Let us take one arbitrary point Z in the annulus. Okay. For example, in the picture you see here, I have taken Z. Then what happened? We construct two circles, C1. Sorry, this is equality symbol, not minus. Zeta minus A modulus is equal to R1 prime. Zeta is here. So A to zeta, this distance is actually R1 prime, that is C1. In this direction it is moving. But C2 is moving, outer circle is moving in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, that is xi minus A. I am taking the collection of points xi on C2. So the xi minus A modulus is equal to R2 prime. So this is the radius R2 prime. Look at from A to this one, R2 prime. So therefore, I keep Z in between C1 and C2. Wherever I fix Z, accordingly I construct C1 and C2 so that Z is inside this ring, the second ring, the smaller ring, I should say. So, so in such a way that R1 is actually smaller than R1 prime. Original R1 is actually smaller than R1 prime. and then R1 prime is smaller than Z minus A, because Z accordingly I am taking. In fact, now constructing C1, C2 accordingly, so that this is happening. R1 prime is less than Z minus A modulus, but Z minus A modulus is less than R2 prime, and then R2 prime is less than R2, the original R2. So remember, R1, R2, they are given, but we are constructing R1 prime and R2 prime. Okay. So this is the picture. Now what we do in this region, because here we apply Cauchy's integral formula for doubly connected domain or multiply connected domain. Then it will be actually f of z will be difference of two integrals, integral over C2 minus integral over C1. So this is what, because f is analytic in the closed annulus, the smaller annulus. So by Cauchy's integral formula for doubly connected domain, this f of z, functional value evaluated at z, is equal to this minus this. So here we can apply Cauchy's integral formula for doubly connected domain. I hope this has been discussed. If not, this is the formula. Okay, this is the formula. Proof is very simple, and C1 to C2, we take line segment joining and come in and then come out. So the whole union will form a simple closed contour. Then we can apply Cauchy's formula there. Then we can put this integral value will be 0. This along the lines while coming and going out, that will be vanishing. Therefore, only these two will be remaining. Because C1 is moving in clockwise direction, therefore negative is there. Otherwise, so this is the formula. Now what we do, we take the idea from the proof of Taylor's theorem for these two integrals. Okay, the first integral in this equation 1 and second integral in this equation 1 separately. Then we combine. Then we will be obtaining whatever we need in Lorentz theorem, Lorentz series we will get from here. Okay, so first one we see C2. So denominator we have xi minus z. So therefore 1 over xi minus z we rewrite, then we get it in terms of series after applying Cauchy's integral formula, or the same way. Let us see. So this is what now we apply the technique we learned from the proof of Taylor's theorem to each integral. That is what written. So first integral, remember 1 over xi minus z is there. So that, so therefore, when we take xi on C2, the outer circle, the constructed circle, and z is in this region, annulus, the smaller annulus, then, or the shaded annulus, in the picture, then we have what? This xi minus a mod is bigger than z minus a, isn't it? Because R2 prime is xi minus a, and that is bigger than z minus a modulus, because z is inside the annulus. That is the reason. So therefore here z minus a modulus over xi minus a is less than 1. Then same way, so as in the proof of Taylor's theorem, we get 1 over xi minus z in this way. Series expansion we write. I am final step I have written here, that n minus 1th term up to n minus 1th term, this series was like this, and the final remainder term was like this. So that way we get the same idea as we discussed yesterday in Taylor's theorem proof. Same way we got like this. So because here z minus a over xi minus a in modulus is less than 1. So that factor is here, z minus a over xi minus a. Here also z minus a over xi minus a. So that will be there. So now we put this in the integral formula, first integral, and then integrate it. Then finally we get this is k equal to 0 to n minus 1 a k z minus a whole power k, and plus Rn. Rn is remainder term from here, it is coming after integration, And then where Rn tends to 0, we have proved yesterday, same way we can prove Rn tends to 0, sorry. And AK will be coming this way. This AK, after evaluation, AK will be coming this way. Okay. So here simply AK we are getting this, not in terms of derivative, kth derivative, because f is not analytic at z equal to a. That is the problem. So only AK formula we are getting here. So this is something like Taylor's theorem part. Okay. Of course, this name will be calling analytic part, and then other one will be principal part. It will come, but first part it is our first integral in equation 1. So therefore, after taking limit, of course, after taking limit n tends to infinity, because this goes to 0 and this takes to infinite series. So therefore, this integral will be coming infinite series. This is what it is written here in this region. And next we consider the second integral in 1. Second integral. Let us go back to second integral. What is there? In the denominator we have zeta minus z, but with a negative sign here. 1 over zeta minus z, but with a negative sign. Okay. So that we evaluate similarly, and let's see what is coming. Yeah. So therefore minus 1 over zeta minus z we need to evaluate, but in powers of this zeta minus a over z minus a, because here zeta minus a modulus is less than z minus a modulus. So therefore zeta minus a modulus will over z minus a modulus is less than 1. That is the reason we need this expression in terms of this quantity, zeta minus a over z minus a. So we need to rewrite this and then take the series expansion, geometric series expansion. This is what it is written here. Minus 1 over zeta minus z equal to 1 over, we can rewrite z minus a times, because we need this expression in terms of this quotient, zeta minus a over z minus a. So you can see these two are actually same. Then we take, because this is geometric series representation of this 1 over 1 minus this quotient, then after evaluation we will be getting similar series like this, but here power negative is coming, minus k will come, minus k will come after simplification, minus k minus 1 will come. So then if you rewrite this sum, then k equal to minus n to minus 1, then 1 over zeta minus a power k plus 1, then z minus a power k will come. Just rewriting, simplifying this to this form, this sum. Then right hand side whatever was there as it is there. So this is maybe small exercise, because these are very elementary calculations. You can do yourself. I have avoided the steps. I skipped the steps. Anyway. So then finally we put this in the integral form, then evaluate the integral, then we'll see what is coming. So inserting this into the second integral in equation 1 there, then we find that this left hand side negative of this 1 over 2 pi I integral over c1 is equal to this quantity coming, k equal to minus n to minus 1 ak z minus a power k plus snz, remainder term is snz. Then where ak is same way, ak is there, but here k is negative, minus 1 minus 2 negative integers, and sn is coming like this. Now here again we need to prove that snz tends to 0 as n tends to infinity. Then we can get this infinite series starting from k equal to minus infinity to minus 1. So let us see how to prove. Same way we can prove that Sn tends to 0 as n tends to infinity. What to do? We take modulus, then less than or equal to take modulus inside. Then we have many information we use. Then finally we say that this goes to 0. How? Let's see here. Now for zeta actually on C1. So therefore, z minus zeta modulus by triangle inequality, the lower bound one. So if we put a inside, then z minus a modulus minus zeta minus a modulus. So we are adding a and subtracting a here in this. Then we take triangle inequality, but the lower bound one, not the upper bound one. So then what happens? Z minus a I keep as it is, and zeta minus a is same as R1 prime by the construction of C1. So now this one, so this Z minus xi modulus has lower bound like this. So that is what we need. Z minus, sorry, Z minus zeta. Z minus zeta modulus lower bound we need, so that it's reciprocal, we'll have upper bound. So that is the reason. So now take the modulus of S and Z, and modulus is taken to inside the integral, and like this coming, then you see 1 over 2 pi is there outside. F of xi, because we are working on C1, that is a compact set, so maximum occurs. So therefore modulus of f of zeta will be available, that is maximum value we can take. Then 1 over z minus zeta modulus is less than or equal to 1 over this ratio. From here, from the lower bound for z minus zeta mode, it will come z minus a mode minus R1 prime. Then zeta minus a modulus is actually R1 prime. Therefore R1 prime is there, and then denominator z minus a modulus is there, then whole power n is there, and then remaining integral d zeta modulus is actually length of C1, that is 2 pi R1 prime. Everything can be taken outside, because you can see all these things are independent of zeta now, therefore can be taken outside. So remaining is integral over C1 d zeta modulus, that is 2 pi R1 prime. Now we see R1 prime over z minus a modulus is less than 1. Isn't it? R1 prime is the smaller circle. Z is actually outside of this circle C1. So therefore this quantity is actually less than 1. So its limit will be 0 when n tends to infinity. Okay. Then S and Z limit will be 0. This is what, since R1 prime is less than Z minus a modulus, it follows that S and Z tends to 0 as n tends to infinity. Same idea we are using. So therefore, we are getting this infinite series, but with a negative signs here, negative powers. So in this region, we got this value. Now we combine both, right? Because f of z was equal to first integral minus second integral. So second integral has this formula, this series expansion. First formula has the Taylor series expansion. So we combine, then we get Lorentz series expansion. Okay. So therefore, f of z has this sum of these two series for all z in this annulus. Okay. So AK will have the same formula, but since we first AK was computed over C1, second AK has been computed over C2, but we need a single C. Within that, we can actually replace. By Taylor's theorem, it is possible. Sorry, by Cauchy's integral formula, it is possible. Let's see. So the Cauchy integral formula implies that the coefficient AK may be computed by replacing C1 and C2 with a simple closed quantity gamma contained in that annulus. That makes a complete. So C1 is there and C2 is there. Over C1 we have one AK. Over C2 we have another AK. But because C1, C2 is actually arbitrary, we can vary, we can match. So in between we can take one C while combining this for k positive and for k negative integers. Then we can get this by two formulas for AKs, whatever we have obtained, one for positive integers, another for negative integers. Then with this analysis, we can have this AK, single AK over any simple closed quantity gamma, which in the annulus, in the same annulus. Okay. So that it is valid. because your R1 or C1 and C2, they're arbitrarily chosen. We can, it has flexibility we have. That is the reason. This is the reason, because R1 prime and R2 prime is also arbitrary. So R1 prime we can take close to R1, R2 prime we can take close to R2, so that within the whole annulus we can have this series expansion. This is what I think it is written here. Okay, since R1 prime and R2 prime can be chosen arbitrarily close to R1 and R2 respectively, by whatever that f of z had that formula, two integrals, then from there this series expansion we are getting in this annulus, because R1 prime and R2 prime are actually arbitrary. Similarly, we can take close to them also. So then we can get single contour gamma contained in this annulus. Finally, we get this AK formula. So therefore, we completed the proof of this Lorentz theorem. Yeah, any question, then we can discuss. Or you can indeed note down your question, we can discuss.
Sir?
Yeah, please.
Sir, we have taken perhaps C1 in clockwise direction and C2 in anti-clockwise direction.
Yes.
So gamma we take in anti-clockwise direction only.
Gamma has to be anti-clockwise direction, yes.
Okay, so one is clockwise and another in anti-clockwise direction. So
because actually that is depending on the coefficient, negative power, negative integers coming, the AK, K is negative, there we are getting. But in the limiting sense, it is okay. But actually by Cauchy's integral formula, it will work. We can take simple closed contour gamma in this annulus. Yeah, your point is valid. How to take it, but when that is the reason, when we have clockwise direction, we are getting actually.
Sir,
yeah, we are getting the negative powers.
if you take a line segment from C1 to C2,
yes,
then the region becomes simply connected and the curve become
yes,
anti-clockwise direction.
Exactly. That's the way we need to choose. That part already I explained. So that integral value will be 0 along those line segments. One is coming in from C2 to C1, then going out from C1 to C2. So then the whole curve will form inside it will be simple closed contour. Then we can apply Cauchy's integral formula there. Anyway, so please. Any more question? Okay, if no, let us move. So now we move to some definitions. In this Lorentz series expansion in an annulus, we have principal part and another is analytic part. So what is principal part? When we consider this negative powers of z minus a, that part is actually called principal part of the Lorentz series. But non-negative powers of z minus a, that means actually the analytic part. That is the when function is analytic in a disk, then we are getting actually Taylor series expansion. The Taylor series part actually called the analytic part. But the negative powers of z, all the sum is called actually principal part. This is well known. Anyway, so now we are now going to define what is residue from this Taylor's theorem. Actually the definition. So anyway, so in general or in more often we consider actually deleted neighborhood of a point. So in terms of deleted neighborhood also we can have Taylor series expansion. So that I'm just recalling in the sense of recalling from the theorem, or we can rewrite the theorem like this. So let f be analytic in a deleted neighborhood, or delta neighborhood we are saying of z equal to 1, sorry a. Then by Lorentz theorem we can have Lorentz series expansion with an is like this. Now we come to the standard notation an in this deleted neighborhood or delta deleted neighborhood of A. So here gamma is again any simple closed quantity lying inside the deleted neighborhood of A, but which will make a complete counterclockwise revolution about the point z equal to A by theorem. Now from here you see we have negative powers of z minus A, we have positive powers of z minus A. That means we have a principal part as well as we have analytic part. Okay. Now from the principal part, the first coefficient we take n equal to -1. That means A minus 1. That is actually called, it is a definition, that is actually called the residue of f at z equal to A. This is what the definition. The residue of f at z equal to A is denoted by res f semicolon A. And it is defined like this, A minus 1. A minus 1 is this. And A minus 1 has this integral formula. How? Just from the integral formula here, if we put n equal to -1, denominator is becoming actually 1. -1 plus 1 is 0, so power 0 means it is 1. So simply integral of f of z dz is coming. And of course 1 over 2 pi I is there. So this is what, A minus 1 has this integral formula. So therefore, this is the definition of residue of a function at a point. And from Lorentz theorem, one can compute, and also one can, in the form of, like asking some value of integral like this. Fz can be anything. Fz can be anything. We will have many examples. So then compute this integral. If you know Taylor series, if you know Lorentz series expansion of f of z, then you can easily compute what is this residue or this first coefficient in the principal part, okay, A minus 1, that is actually residue. Okay. Now we compute residues through some examples. Let us see. So first example, you see the Lorentz series expansion for f of z. I have taken sin z over z square in this deleted neighborhood of origin. And how is this possible? 1 over z square I keep as it is, and sin z has series expansion z minus z cube by 3 factorial plus z to the power 5 by 5 factorial minus so on. And if you simplify this, first term is coming 1 over z, second term is coming negative of z over 3 factorial, and so on. Now you see negative power of z is actually only one term is there. That is, first term itself is there. So therefore, A minus 1 is here just 1. That is the reason residue of this function at z equal to 0. Because this series is about z equal to 0. Annulus is actually about z equal to 0. Deleted neighborhood of 0. So therefore, the residue of this function sin z over z square at 0 is just coefficient of z inverse. That is actually 1. And this is A minus 1. It's a simple function. So therefore, in the remark by the definition of residue, that can be also written in terms of integral. So therefore, this integral value is actually equal to 1. So without computing this integral value from the Lorentz series expansion, we can compute this value of this integral. This is the remark. Okay. Though this integration looks very complicated, but it is easy to evaluate through this approach, Lorentz series approach, by computing its coefficient of z inverse, that is residue. All right. Any question? No. Okay. Next example, you see f of z, I take e to the power 1 by z, and again it is deleted neighborhood of origin. Then this has series expansion. This is also simple function because we have series expansion like this. But here you see analytic part has only one term, the constant term. But principal part has infinitely many terms. And here coefficient of A, this A minus 1 is actually 1 again. Coefficient of 1 over z is actually 1. So therefore residue of this function at its origin, because this series is also about origin, and that is actually equal to 1. So same way this integral value is also 1. So 1 over 2 pi I integral over gamma, any gamma you can take in this annulus or the deleted neighborhood of origin, then this value will be actually 1 because residue is 1. Okay. Now next example, something else to be computed. Find the Laurent series of one simple function I take here, 1 over z square plus 1, but valid in a deleted neighborhood of z equal to I. Z equal to I. Because z equal to I means denominator is vanishing. So at that point, the deleted neighborhood of that point, we find the Laurent series expansion. Because at that point only function is not analytic. So therefore we take deleted neighborhood of that point. Okay. Z equal to I. Of course, z equal to minus I is also there, but here I asked about z equal to I. So about z equal to I means we need factor z minus I. Therefore, we keep this z minus I as it is. Now we compute the series expansion of 1 over z plus I. That is the idea. So therefore, we write a series expansion of 1 over z plus I about z equal to I, and then multiply with the next factor 1 over the remaining factor 1 over z minus I. Then we see what it is happening. Which way it is coming, let's see. So we are going to expand 1 over z plus I. So how is this coming? 1 over z plus I, like we have already discussed one example in Taylor series, because we are going to compute this about z equal to I. Therefore we need a term z minus I. Just write z minus I. Then whatever you want to get this z plus I, just you add or subtract. This is what it is done. Now 2y we take common. 2y we take common in the denominator, then 1 is coming, then plus z minus I by 2i is coming here. Now because z minus I by 2i modulus has to be less than 1. In that only we can take geometric series here. Otherwise, no. So this is valid. This series expansion will be valid for whenever z minus I by 2i modulus less than 1. So from here only we are getting actually region of it's analyticity. Z minus I modulus is less than 2. But of course, this is strictly positive because deleted neighborhood of iota we are computing. So now by geometric series expansion, we get this one. Because one plus is there, therefore minus 1 power n will come, and then z minus I by 2a whole to the power n. Simple function. Now this is actually series expansion of 1 over z plus I. Now we had another factor 1 over z minus I that we need to multiply here. Okay. So therefore in this deleted neighborhood of I, what we get, f of z is coming like this, and 1 over z minus I is there, and then this series, whatever we got, we just wrote, and then we put it inside z minus I. But we are taking from n equal to minus 1 to infinity. That is the reason still power n is there. Otherwise, n minus 1 would have been there if n is running from 0 to infinity. So we take from n equal to minus 1 to infinity. So that's it. So this is the way it is coming. All right. So f of z is equal to this. And this is the Laurent series expansion. Now, can you see for n equal to minus 1, what is coming? N equal to minus 1. This is 2 minus 1 is 1. So I by 2 is coming. Negative of I by 2. And that is your residue. Negative of I by 2. So residue of f at I is coefficient of z minus I inverse or 1 over z minus I, that is minus I by 2. All right. This is residue. And by the definition, this integral value is minus I by 2 because this integral is actually a minus 1. You can take any contour in this annulus. Center is I, and then on the left hand side, your lower bound is 0, upper bound is 2. And the deleted neighborhood of I, it is happening. Okay. Of course, one can compute this from Cauchy's integral formula. But anyway, so directly we are getting here. Now, next example, slightly different way we ask. Find the Lorentz series of f of z like this, 1 over z minus 1 times z minus 2. In the denominator, we have these two factors. But this will be valid in all possible neighborhoods about z equal to 0. It is not neighborhood of z equal to 0. Neighborhoods, this Lorentz series in all possible neighborhoods about z equal to 0. That means it may be outside of a disk, a neighborhood of infinity, maybe. Neighborhoods of something, neighborhood about something is different. Okay. Let us look at this. We have these three possibilities. Because at z equal to 1, function is not analytic. At z equal to 2, function is not analytic. Okay. And then we will have this, see here, look at the picture here, 1 is here and 2 is here. At these 2 points, function is actually not analytic. And we are going to compute this Lorentz series about z equal to 0. Therefore, how many possibilities are there? So this is one disk, then this annulus, then outside of this, mod z bigger than 2. There are 3 possibilities of neighborhoods about z equal to 0. Okay. So in these 3 regions, actually we compute series expansion. And in particular, a Lorentz series may be a Taylor series. For example, within the first circle, mod z less than 1, it will have Taylor series expansion. That means it will not have principal part, only analytic part will be there. Similarly, third part, mod z bigger than 2, we will see only principal part will be there. But the second one, both will be there. Let's see. So by taking the points where function is actually not analytic, so that way we can take the regions, all these type of possibilities. And similar examples are there in tutorial sheet, you can compute, for instance. Now go to the first case, mod z less than 1. But when we have mod z less than 1, we also have mod z less than 2 automatically, because 1 is less than 2. So therefore, z by 2 modulus less than 1. Because we need to use some geometric series idea, therefore we are taking this, because we have a term z minus 2. So this is actually partial fraction we can use. So this is 1 over z minus 2 minus 1 over z minus 1. And here z over 2 we can take, because minus 2 we can take common. And then this side 1 is there, and then other side z by 2 is coming. Then other one is plus 1 over 1 minus z. Then if we simplify this, because z by 2 modulus is less than 1, from here we are getting, and mod z is also less than 1. Therefore, both will have series expansion, geometric series idea we can use, and then combine. After combination, we get this series, 1 minus 1 over 2 power n plus 1. So this 1 over 2 power n plus 1 is coming from this first one, and just z power n, 1 times z power n is coming from the trivial geometric series. Okay. So this is actually a Lorentz series with no principal part. That means this is actually Taylor series expansion, because in the unit disk function is analytic. Okay. That is the reason. Now we go to second case, that means within this annulus, how to compute. Okay. So we have mod z bigger than 1 in the second case, and mod z less than 2, right? So when mod z is bigger than 1, 1 over mod z is less than 1. Okay. And we have mod z less than 2 means z by 2 mod less than 1. So always we make it less than 1 so that we can apply geometric series. That is the idea. So f of z has this type after partial fraction. Then here we need z by 2. Therefore, we make it z by 2. Accordingly, we take the constant common. common factor outside. Then here 1 over z we need, 1 over z modulus is less than 1, therefore we take z outside, so that 1 over z will come in this factor. So z by 2 modulus is less than 1 we have, and 1 over z modulus is less than 1 we have. Then we take geometric series idea. Just this is z by 2 whole power n, and here minus 1 by z is outside, and then other series is 1 by z power n. So then combine, this is coming. So here you see this has actually two parts, analytic part as well as principal part. This is a Lorentz series expansion of this function. Okay. The third part is mod z bigger than 2. So we need something less than 1. So here 2 by mod z is less than 1. Therefore 2 by z whole modulus is less than 1. But whenever mod z is bigger than 2, automatically mod z is also bigger than 1, because 2 is bigger than 1. So mod z bigger than 1 is there. So here also we have 1 over mod z is less than 1. So two things we need. So just now, is it z minus, is it correct or? Yeah. So after simplification, after partial fraction, here we take z outside, 2 by z we are getting, and the second factor, after taking z outside, we are getting 1 by z. So we need 2 by z, also 1 by z. So both are less than 1 in modulus. Therefore, we can apply geometric series expression to get this series. This is, you see, completely this is, this has principal part, not the analytic part. It's actually outside of a disk. Therefore, this is a Lorentz series with no analytic part. Okay. So three possible cases were there. So we already discussed. Now, what we observe here in this, because a minus 1 is actually this formula. This is residue by the formula. Then this is minus 1. Why? Because we can, from the second case, you see, second case negative, n equal to minus 1 here in the second one, n equal to minus 1 here. So that coefficient is actually minus 1 coming. So therefore, this value, this integral value is minus 1 from the Lorentz series expansion of this. Of course, one can use directly Cauchy's integral formula because at z equal to 0, there is nothing to do with residue, because at z equal to 0, actually function is analytic here. Only at z equal to 1 and 2, function is not analytic. So one can directly use Cauchy's integral formula also to get this value. But this way also it is coming. Anyway. Now let us see singularity. What is called singularity? So in singularity, there are normally many students, in fact many teachers.
Sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, in Lorentz series expansion, we already have a formula for coefficient AK.
Yeah.
So can we compute these coefficients with the help of that formula?
Yes. But problem is, it may be complicated, because if we go to the formula, power k is there. Yeah, power this. Depending on function, if you are able to cancel some factors, then it is maybe possible. But you can compute an, what is nth coefficient, using this. But integrating this function may be difficult. A minus 1 is easy because denominator factor is actually vanishing. Becoming 1. That is the reason. Otherwise, if in terms of n, if you want to compute, it may be very difficult. Okay. But one can compute. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There are some functions where it can be computed. Any more question on Lorentz series part? Because we are going to start singularity.
Sir, what is the geometrical interpretation of residue?
geometric interpretation of residue.
Yes.
So if we know geometric representation or geometric interpretation of contour integral, then we can say, right? Residue is nothing but contour integral of f of z over a simple closed contour around this point A, where we are computing residue. So do you know what is geometric interpretation of this contour integral?
In vector algebra we are studying, sir. Is
But
it the
it
same
is-
here also?
But it is not like trivial like in real analysis. In real analysis, actually, in a Riemann integral, we compute area under the curve.
Okay.
But here, what we do, we are actually function is there over a contour we are integrating. So that means what actually we are doing. So if we can understand that, and that is actually the geometric interpretation of residue. But that is not trivial case. Okay. So that is the reason this is called complex analysis. Anyway.
Okay, sir. Okay.
For instance, if f of z is equals to 1 by z minus a, then it represents the winding number.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you,
Correct.
sir.
Correct. Good. But in general, it is not trivial. Okay. Okay, let's move to singularity. Yes. So what is the definition of singularity here? You see, mostly, deleted neighborhood concept will be very useful here. Like a function f is set, more often actually, if we ask to students, they answer that when function is not analytic at a point, that point is called the point of singularity. No, it is actually not the case. Okay. We have example like conjugate of z, and this is nowhere analytic. That does not mean that all points are actually points of singularity. No, that is the most fundamental example to understand this singularity. So what extra condition is there? So whatever neighborhood, in fact deleted neighborhood we take, whatever neighborhood we take, for every neighborhood of A contains at least one more point where function is analytic. Okay, like at A function is not analytic. But if we take neighborhood, here we must get one point where function is analytic. We take another neighborhood, we must get a point here where function is analytic. We take another neighborhood around A, so we must get a point where function is analytic. If this is coming, then we say that function has singularity at z equal to A. Otherwise, not necessarily. This is the definition. First condition is function is not analytic at that point. Then every neighborhood of A contains at least one more point where function is analytic. So this is the definition. So look at some example. This is trivial example. The function f of z equal to 1 over 1 minus z. And it is very clear that this function is analytic in this, it is called punctured plane, complex plane. 1 is removed because z equal to 1, function is not analytic. And this has singularity only at the point z equal to 1. Because if we take any neighborhood, in fact deleted neighborhood of that point, then it will have a point where function is analytic. Okay? Because always we can get neighborhood where function is differentiable. Now this is what I already mentioned, the conjugate function z bar is nowhere analytic. And hence we cannot find a neighborhood which contains a point of analyticity. Okay, nowhere analytic. So therefore we cannot find a neighborhood which contains a point of analyticity. Therefore, it is contradicting the definition of singularity. Definition of singularity says whatever neighborhood we take, we must get a point of analyticity. But here we cannot find any neighborhood which contains a point of analyticity because it is nowhere analytic. Therefore, by definition, it has no singularity in the complex map. So singularity, actually, there are two types of singularity we can see from this analysis. One is isolated singularity, another is called non-isolated singularity. Non-isolated means it is not isolated. In that way, it is defined. So isolated means what? Look at this definition and picture. So we take it, F is analytic in a deleted neighborhood of A, at which F has singularity. Suppose point A is actually the singular point, singularity of function. Then we take deleted neighborhood, delta deleted neighborhood. If F is analytic in a deleted neighborhood of A, then Z equal to A is called the point of isolated singularity. Okay. So if this is happening, then Z equal to A is the point of isolated singularity. In everywhere, function has to be analytic neighborhood. Then it is okay. And the definition of singularity says that there must be at least one point where function is analytic. But isolated singularity said everywhere in the deleted neighborhood, it should be analytic. This is the difference. And then, when it is not isolated singularity, it is called actually non-isolated singularity. That means what? That means we cannot find any deleted neighborhood. Whatever deleted neighborhood you take, the point at which the function has singularity, but the function is also analytic. So if we do not find any deleted neighborhood like this, then we can say that the point is called the point of non-isolated singularity. Just its opposite. It's opposite. So now again, isolated singularities are of three types. One is removable singularity, then pole, then third one is essential singularity. So these are called classifications of singularities. So after Lorentz theorem, Lorentz series, it's coming classification of singularities in the syllabus, whatever was given to me. So now we discuss in detail this removable singularity, then pole and essential singularity with some examples. Okay, then we'll stop. So first is removable singularity means a function f has a removable singularity at this point z equal to a. If f has isolated singularity, of course, because these are isolated singularities at z equal to a, and this extra condition is limit exists. Limit of f of z when z tends to a, this limit exists. Then this z equal to a, this point is called the point of removable singularity for the function f. For example, sin z by z at z equal to 0, limit exists. So therefore, z equal to 0 is called actually the point of removable singularity for sin z over z. Yeah, this is what because its limit is 1. Okay. Now a definition of pole. A function f has a pole at z equal to a if f has isolated singularity at z equal to a, and this limit is actually infinite. Limit z tends to a, f of z is infinity. Then we say z equal to a is a pole for the function. So removable singularity case limit exists, but here limit does not. Limit is actually infinity. Infinity is different from does not exist. Okay. So if limit, we get into different directions. If limit we are getting to different values, that time we say limit does not exist. Okay, because limiting value has to be unique, but infinity is different. And order of pole here, the function has a pole of order k if what is we multiply z minus a power k factor. Actually, it is related to Lorentz series, we will see. Because z minus a power k we multiply with f of z, then we take limit z tends to a. If this is equal to some constant which is non-zero as well as not equal to infinity, but other constant, then this function has a pole of order k. This power k is there. Now, if k is 1, that means z minus a times f of z we take, and in that case we say simple pole. Fz has a simple pole if it is pole of order 1. If k is 1, then we say the simple pole. But warning is this constant a has to be non-zero and infinity, because this is connected to Lorentz series. We will be discussing later. You'll see. This is definition. Now one can easily notice from here what we can notice. Suppose we take alpha bigger than k. This k is already there, which is order of pole, and z minus a power alpha I multiply with f of z. Then, okay. Then what is a actually here? A is actually this limit. Then if we multiply a, then this z minus a power alpha minus k will come. So this will be actually 0. How this is 0? If alpha is bigger than k, then only this factor will be 0, because a is non-zero. A is also not equal to 0. So therefore, this product will be 0, because this quantity is becoming 0 and a is non-zero. So this is the way it is. So provided f is a pole of order k at z equal to a. So which is already discussed. And if we are taking higher power, if we are multiplying with f of z other than k, and if this is becoming 0, this will become 0. If we are taking higher power than order of the pole, then this will be 0 automatically. Okay. This is one observation. Up to which we are getting non-zero or not equal to infinity, that will be actually order. This power, order of pole. Now let us see some example. F of z equal to 1 over z, and this has a simple pole at z equal to 0. Whereas another function gz, this has pole of order 2 at z equal to a. Trivially, these are this can be done. Then essential singularity. Of course, here one can use the definition. Pole of simple pole means we multiply with z times f of z. That is actually 1. Then limit is actually coming non-zero. Therefore, it has a pole of order 1. So here we multiply pole of order 2 means z minus a whole square we multiply, then again we are getting 1. So therefore, its limit is also 1. And hence, this has pole of order 2 at z equal to a. Now, essential singularity, the last one in the classifications. If a point z equal to a is neither a point of removable singularity nor a point of pole, then it is called essential singularity. Okay, it is neither a point of removable singularity nor a point of pole, then it is called essential singularity, the third category. So as I mentioned, the limit does not exist. Okay, in that case will come here. The point z equal to 0 is a point of essential singularity for this function e to the power 1 by z, because e to the power 1 by z, when we take z tends to 0, this limit does not exist. We can get two different paths. One can compute. This is a simple function, so limit will be different. So limit does not exist here in this case. One can check. Okay. Isolated singularities, can also be identified from the Lorentz series expansion of the function in its region. That is an annulus. Its region of analyticity, actually the annulus in Lorentz series expansion. Okay. So if we apply these definitions in the Lorentz series expansion of a function, then we can get actually. So for instance, this is the theorem. So this theorem, through this theorem, we can identify isolated singularities, that is removable singularities, or poles or essential singularities. We can this. How? Suppose let Z be an isolated singularity of F. Then around that, we can have this Lorentz series expansion in the deleted neighborhood of that. I take R is some finite number. Then Lorentz series will be there. Then what happens? Here the point Z equal to A is called removable singularity if and only if an is 0 for all n less than or equal to -1. That means there is no principal part. Only analytic part will be there. We have discussed examples. In 3 different regions we computed Lorentz series expansion. First part was actually mod Z less than 1. There we had only Lorentz series expansion without principal part. That means it has only analytic part. And the middle, ring domain, we had the both principal part as well as analytic part. But only the outside of the disk, only you have principal parts. So those 3 types of situations might occur. Therefore, the first situation here is, this point will be called removable singularity. Now, the point Z equal to A will be called pole of order K if and only if A minus K is non-zero. And, for other values, n equal to minus times K plus 1, minus times K plus 2, all these things will be 0. So the largest K for which A minus K is non-zero is actually the order of pole. That is, if the principal part has finite terms, isn't it? A minus K is non-zero, but for other values, other left-hand side, other terms in the principal part is vanishing. Therefore, when it will have a finite number of terms in the principal part, then that point Z equal to A is called the pole of order K. K is coming from this, A minus K. Now, essential singularity, what is the nature? From the Lorentz series expansion, the point Z equal to A is an essential singularity if and only if an is non-zero for infinitely many negative integers. That means in the principal part we have infinitely many terms. Sorry, principal part is in the left hand side. Okay, the principal part will have infinitely many terms. First one is no principal part, cross, then it is removable singularity. Second one is only finite terms in the principal part, and third one is infinitely many terms in the principal part. That is essential singularity. So these 3 types we are getting, and we have already seen from one example. Okay, so proof is very simple, and just we need to use the definitions of removable singularity in the Lorentz series expansion. Just we apply, replace this f of z with this series, then take the limits, then we will get. That is what proofs are. Because limit z tends to a f of z in the Lorentz series, if we apply, we are getting z a naught. Okay. And second one, we need to multiply z minus a power k f of z. This a minus k is non-zero. We are getting. Okay. So this is what a minus k is non-zero. Then we'll be getting. And the third one, this is either infinity or limit does not exist will come. Okay, so then it will have essential singularity, because this a minus k has to be non-zero and not equal to infinity also. But here non-zero is coming and not equal to infinity is trivial, because we will have finite number of terms. So therefore this limit will be a minus k, which is non-zero. And third part will be either infinity or limit does not exist, because we have infinite many terms in the principal part. So therefore this limit will have 2 possibilities. Okay. So this is the idea of the proof, and one can compute these limits. Okay, so now we test, go for testing isolated singularities for some functions using this theorem, or the Lorentz series idea we need to use. So please remember this. First one is limit is a naught. Second one is a minus k. This limit after multiplying z minus a power k. But Lorentz series says, if you have no principal part, then it will have removable singularity. If finite number of principal part, you will have pole of order that much. And if you have infinitely many terms in the principal part, then it is essential. That is the idea in this theorem.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, can you show the previous page, sir? Thank you, sir. Sir, in the third case, sir, after this, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, in the third term, if the limit goes to infinity, then it will be pole, sir, na?
No. In the pole definition, you had multiplication of this factor, z minus a power k. Here, simply f of z. Remember, the factor is not there.
Sir, in the definition of pole, you had written that if limit f z goes to a is infinity, then it will be pole.
No. Let us recall that. You see, here the definition z minus a power k is multiplied. This factor.
Sir, before that, sir, definition pole.
Oh, definition of pole. Okay.
Yes, sir. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A function f of z is a pole if limit is infinity. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
So, sir, there I think it should be a limit does not exist.
Let me see once again.
Yes, sir. Sir, because if we take f of z equals to 1 by z, then z equals to 0 is has a simple pole, sir.
Yes. So Lorentz series, if you have Lorentz series expansion in this region, then you'll have infinitely many terms in the Lorentz series expansion. Then limit that tends to be here thing is whenever you have infinitely many terms in the principal part, that time the situation we need to study. Of course, the limit does not exist is the trivial case. Okay, but here situation is specific function where function has infinitely terms in the principal part. Then of course we need to verify why this is infinity coming. Of course, it is contradicting to that definition as you pointed out. Pole means function can have pole if it is isolated singularity and the limit is actually infinity. Yes, you are right. This is contradicting. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
For this, I think the definition of that pole is fine, but for the essential singularity, limit z goes to f of z is limit does not exist. That is the only part.
Yes.
So either infinity, that's not correct. For example, f of 1 by z, limit z goes to 0, 1 by z is infinity. But when you multiply with z into f of z, that limit is finite. Therefore, it's a pole of order 1.
Yeah. So this infinity
that is not necessary.
Sir, both the definitions are equivalent, sir. Limit is infinity or product of z minus a raised to the power k into fz equals to a summation.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We are writing pole of order k to infinity.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Here you see.
Yes,
so
sir.
essential singularity means limit does not exist.
Yes, sir.
In the limiting sense, limit does not exist, or in the deleted neighborhood of that point, the principal part contains infinitely many terms. In the deleted neighborhood of that point.
Yeah. So definition of essential singularity say it should be neither removable singularity and nor pole. So therefore, yes, you're right. So there it is the typo. So I'll remove this infinity part. Okay, then limit does not exist. Will come. Okay, thanks for pointing out this. Yes, please.
if we add the two condition of the definition of pole, please back.
I have to go back.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Definition of pole.
Okay.
Latter part also.
Latter part. Okay.
If we add together, if limit z tends to a fz infinity, but limit z tends to a z minus a to the power k fz equal to a, then z equal to a will be called a pole of order k.
Yes.
Can we call it?
What is your question?
It is written as pole of order 1. It should be pole of order k.
Yeah, this is what it is written. No, f has a pole of order k at z equal to a. If this is happening.
Simple pole, then it is order a.
Yeah, it's already there. When k is 1, it is called simple pole.
If we add two conditions together, then the confusion does not arise. Limit z tends to infinity fz equal to infinity, but limit z tends to a z to the z minus a to the power k into fz equal to a.
Yeah, that's what he's saying, that you remove the first definition and keep the second definition. And z is equals k equals to 1 is called a simple pole. So that survives. Yeah.
No, I could not follow what he's saying actually. Can you repeat, Vasu?
What he says, that limit z goes to a, z minus a whole power k into f of z equals to some finite number, which is not 0, not infinity.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, z is equals to a is called a pole of order k.
Yeah.
When k equals to 1, it is called a simple pole.
Yes.
So this will take over the first definition. That's what he says.
Okay. But how does it take?
No, you are just telling that what do you mean by pole of order k?
Okay. Yeah, in terms of order, yes, we need this definition. Yes.
So yeah.
Okay. But if we do not talk about pole of order, then simply that, if one is finding the limit is infinity, then we can say that is a pole. Of course, no. For order.
Whenever we have a pole, we should know that what is its order.
Yes. Then this formula is actually important. Okay.
Sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, my question is whether the.
Please be louder.
Sir, my question is whether the order of pole is always a natural number or maybe fraction number. You have written k belongs to set of natural
Order
numbers.
is non-zero and not equal to infinity.
No. Order of pole k.
It is
K
a natural number.
is always a natural number or maybe some different number.
Natural number. K belongs to n only. Yes. It is already written here. Okay.
So this is true only for, suppose we have an example 1 upon z minus 1 to power 1 by 3.
No. So here in the series, always integer is coming, right? K equal to 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, and so on. Only integers are coming. Integer powers. Okay.
So order of pole is always
integer. Yes. Positive integer.
positive. Okay.
Yeah.
And so next you have written essential singularity, that is neither pole nor removable singularity is said to be.
Yes.
But I think this is true only for single valued function.
Yes. Single valued function. Yes. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, some books they write, but some books they omit. And it is
otherwise, maybe branch point.
Yeah. Of course.
Okay, so this is true only for single valued function.
Yes. Okay. You're right. Okay, good. So, so here I'll make this correction. I do not know how this is coming. Anyway, I'll cross check also once again. So now we test some isolated singularity for some functions. Okay, quickly. So we have sin z by z. We have this series in this deleted neighborhood of 0. Then by first part, what we see here, it does not have any principal part. Okay, therefore, this function has removable singularity at z equal to 0. This is simple. From Lorentz series expansion, we do not have any principal part here. Only analytic part we have. That is the reason this is removable singularity. Now, this function we see f of z equal to 1 over z times z minus 1 whole square. This is isolated singularities at z equal to 0 and z equal to 1, trivially. But when we look at Lorentz series about these points, then first, about z equal to 0, we have this Lorentz series. One can compute. We know how to compute. And about z equal to 1, we have this Lorentz series. In the first series, we see we have finite term in the principal part. Therefore, pole is actually of order 1 because power 1 is there, 1 over z power 1. And here in the second series, we have also finite term in the principal part up to 2. So therefore, pole is of order 2 here. Okay. That's the Lorentz series expansion says about order of pole. Now, next example, just sine 1 by z. If we take, we have this Lorentz series expansion for z not equal to 0. And we see that this has infinitely many terms in its principal part, all negative powers of z coming. So therefore, z equal to 0 has essential singularity at z equal to 0. Okay, because it has infinity terms in the principal part. Now we see one remark that as we have seen before already, this residue, residue has one formula. A minus 1 has integral formula. That way we computed many examples. But here what we see, without computing its Lorentz series, one can also compute A minus 1 using that integral formula. So this is what, I take another complicated or non-trivial example. So integral over mod z equal to pi e to the power z minus 1 by 1 minus cos z dz. So here function is this one, e to the power z minus 1 by 1 minus cos z. So here what happens, z equal to 0 is the only isolated singularity for fz. Inside the contour, mod z equal to pi. Inside this only we have z equal to 0. Okay. Of course, outside you will have, but inside we need here. Okay. Then what happens by that integral formula, for residue, this is actually 2 pi I times residue at 0, but that is 2 pi I times a minus 1. Then what is a minus 1? We need to compute. Okay. And residue we can compute, but if we think of Lorentz series expansion, it is actually a non-trivial task to compute its Lorentz series expansion. So therefore, we can use the definition, the second one, the definition limit z times f of z, limit z tends to 0. This is actually non-zero. The constant a, which is non-zero, and this factor is actually coming to be a minus 1. From this definition, second part, I'll show you. Yes, second one, middle one, you see. Z minus a whole power k, f of z is equal to a minus k, which is non-zero. So here factor is multiplied and then limit is taken. So that is the reason that part is coming. Sorry, this part is coming z times f of z, and that will be a minus 1. If power is actually 1, that is the reason a minus 1. Non-zero is coming. The simple computation is there, limit. Then in this case, z equal to 0 is a simple pole for f of z. And therefore, because a minus 1 is 2, just we compute a minus 1 as 2 here. Therefore, this integral value is 4 pi I. So here what we see, without computing Lorentz series, also one can compute this value. Residue. So that's all today. I think it's already time, so we can have discussion if you have more questions, please.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, please.
Sir, can you show that sine 1 by z? That example.
Sine 1 by z. Yeah, yes, here.
Sir, without using Lorentz series, just using definition, can we show this as what kind of essential singularity?
Yeah, it has
That is,
essential singularity at z equal to 0. Yeah, one can
Z
use the definition, right?
yes, sir.
Yes. Z equal to 0 is neither a pole nor a, but limit does not exist here. You can find limit z tends to 0, sine 1 by z does not exist.
Okay.
Then you can say it has an essential singularity.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
like you just mentioned that pole cannot be fraction. So if we consider, like someone pointed out, that if we consider function as 1 by under root z, so what is the order of pole of this function? What is the order of the pole?
1 over square root of z.
Yeah. What we'll say?
No, we don't talk about pole here. See, in the Laurent series, by the way, in the Laurent series only we have integer powers. Integer powers. So here, whatever you are taking, 1 over square root of z, it does not have integer powers. So we cannot talk anything about pole.
So, sir, z equals to 0 is a pole, right, sir, for this function?
How do you say?
So because limiting value is at 0, it is infinity.
How do you say limit?
First, you have to define the branch cut there, right?
Yeah.
You are writing 1 over root z.
Okay.
Square root of z is actually multi-valued function. Branch has to be defined, and then.
I think another one applicant asked that sine 1 over z. You have to prove that z is equal to 0 is essential singularity. One can take zn equals to 1 by 2n plus 1 into pi by 2, which goes to 0 as n goes to infinity.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
zn prime you can take 1 by n prime, 1 by n pi, where n belongs to z. This goes to 0 as n goes to infinity.
Two different sequences converging to the same point, but the function of
Different points, yes. Converging to different point.
So limit
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Someone asked already. So, sir, can you give one example of non-isolated singularity? And can we say non-isolated singularity as some analytic function or like that? What is non-isolated singularity, sir?
So when it is not isolated, then it is, yeah, of course.
So can I give the example here?
Yeah, you can give. Yes.
So you take 1 by sine 1 by z. Okay, same sine 1 by z, I'm taking 1 by sine 1 by z. Okay. So now what are the singularities here? 1 by z equals to sine 1 by z equals to 0. These are the points of singularities. Okay. That means your 1 by z is nothing but n pi. N belongs to z. Therefore, your z is nothing but 1 by n pi, where n belongs to z. These are all isolated singularities. Okay. If you take 1 by pi, 1 by 2 pi, 1 by 3 pi, and you are coming close to 0. Take a distance between any two singularities and take a ball with center the singularity and radius 1/3 of the distance. Then you can always separate the singularities. However, z is equal to 0 is also a singularity, which is a limit point of the sequence 1 by n pi. Now, whatever the small neighborhood you take about z is equal to 0, it contains at least one singularity. Therefore, zn equals to 1 by n pi are isolated singularities, whereas z is equal to 0 is a non-isolated singularity.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Vasu.
Sir, it is a non-isolated essential singularity. Non-isolated essential singularity.
Yeah, non-isolated essential singularity.
Essential, yes.
So, any other questions to the speaker?
Sir, like in isolated singularity, we have 3 different classification, right?
Yes.
So in the non-isolated singularity, can we have this? Like just we have non-isolated essential singularity example is 1 by sine 1 by z, can we have other classification as well?
I have not seen.
Because just now it is saying that 1 by sine 1 by z is non-isolated essential singularity.
Yes.
So can we have other?
I don't think so. Other, what we can say, we don't have any information. You mean to say non-isolated removable singularity, non-isolated pole, something like that?
Sir.
No, I don't know. No information. I think it is only the one way, non-isolated. Poles, if we take limit point, then I don't know. So Bashu, do you have answer to this by chance?
For non-isolated, we don't have.
Yeah.
So, sir, non-isolated and non-isolated essential singularity, both are same terms. No?
Please repeat your question.
A non-isolated singularity and non-isolated essential singularity, both are same terms.
Singularities, whether isolated, non-isolated, one is discussing. Okay, that singularity could. So some of the singularities are the poles, some of the singularities are essential singularities. So which singularity is isolated, which singularity is non-isolated, we are explaining.
Yeah, one question is asked by Yogesh Prasad. Is a non-isolated singularity always a limit point of sequence of isolated singularities? We take isolated singularities and its limit point. Can we say that limit point is non-isolated singularity? That is what you explained through that example, 1 over sine 1 by z. But he is asking question whether this is always the case.
Yeah, if non-isolated means what? That should be a limit point of some sequence. Okay. So when this sequence is converging to a point, here we can always separate with some open balls. Otherwise, how close they are, the similarities, we can always make into two open balls and we can separate it.
Okay. Yeah, so shall we stop it here or?
Are there any questions, further questions?
Sir, excuse me.
Please.
Sir, can we define this isolated singularity in the outside the radius of the boundary? So if mod is greater than n, can we define the?
Yes. Outside a disk, as we already discussed, mostly this essential singularities are coming because it will have infinitely many terms in the principal part, in the Lorentz series expansion of that. Okay.
Therefore, we can define isolated singularity, functions which are analytic outside that mod is greater than n.
Okay.
I am asking that can we define isolated singularity to functions which are analytic in a neighborhood of the mod is greater than n?
Yeah, so there actually comes because in general we say outside of a disk is actually neighborhood of infinity.
Yes, sir.
So that will be actually at point at infinity we need to compute. That has separate thing. Yeah. So somehow I missed to, but I think one. But about pole we can have one formula is there that is already included in your tutorial sheet. It will be discussed. Okay.
Okay.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, please.
Sir, can we expand a function about an non-isolated essential singularity as a infinite series?
Can you repeat the question?
Sir, can we expand any function with non-isolated essential singularity about that essential non-isolated essential singularity in an infinite series like like LoRa series?
No, I think no, because of that theorem says statements are actually if and only if. Because in the Laurent series expansion, only you will have three options. One will have only analytic part. Another option has both parts, analytic as well as principal part. Another option is only principal part. Other than this, you don't have any other option. And all these three has if and only if condition characterizations in that theorem. Therefore, for non-isolated, we cannot have.
But sir, sine 1 by z. This function has series expansion like
essential singularity we have. That is third condition. Yes.
And z is equal to 0 actually for sine 1 by z, non-isolated singularity, I think. And actually sine 1 by z has a...
No.
Sine 1 over z, you have only one singularity. That is... No. Sine 1 over z, where you are expressing that series expansion. Those are isolated singularities, no?
Yes. Z equal to 0 is essential singularity there. Isolated essential singularity. Okay. All right.
Example we can give by 1 by sine 1 by z, non-essential isolated singularity.
That is non-essential coming, yes, as already explained by Vasu, yes. But there, can you have a series expansion 1 over sine 1 by z? We don't know. There is no series, I guess.
See, that's where the Laurent series concept came.
Yeah.
Because a function fails to be analytic at one point. So if a function is analytic in a domain, we can write power series expansion at every point in that domain. For example, the function fails to be analytic at one point, but what we are taking a deleted neighborhood of that point. So in other portion where it is analytic, we are able to write the power series expansion.
Yes.
But if you are having here non-isolated, okay, non-isolated. So whatever the small neighborhood you take, you are having one more singularity.
Yes.
Therefore, there is no scope to write.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Function is not analytic there.
Yes.
Okay, I think we can stop here. So if there are no questions, let us thank Dr. Sudhir Kumar Sahu for very nice lectures and giving a lot of examples to illustrate the theoretical concepts. Thank you for this.